What's up, y'all? We're here for another episode of Throwing Light. I am LTJ Reeves, and if you're not throwing light, you're not acting right. I am super excited to be having this interview tonight with my IML 46 brother. I almost said 47. My IML 46 brother, Master Cat Artemis, Mr. Alamo City Leather, 2022 and 2023.
Yes.
Um, he's been on here before, y'all. But look, this man deserves just. I don't have the introduction for him because this interview is with someone, and when there's people we need to lift up in our community and celebrate, and I think Master Cat is one of these people. Everyone that's watching this show, be going through a lot with this current administration coming in and trying to make being a shitty person the norm. Um, and we had a situation in which Kat has been a teacher, successfully a music teacher. We saw before this election year how nasty people can get and can target people for how they live their lives. And we, unfortunately, as a community, had to see Master Cat go through a difficult situation and give up something that he loved. However, luckily, it was getting close to him leaving it anyway. But when it comes to attacking people in the community and supporting people, we need to make sure that we continue to lift up higher those that are even subject to being attacked. So I'm calling on everybody as we go through this interview. And after this, please just support Master Cat Artemis. Just as a human being, he has a lot to offer. He has wisdom that I can't wait to have one day. But this is the epitome of somebody in our community that we need to elevate and uplift and show appreciation to. And Master Cat has been there for me emotionally in a lot of ways that I didn't know I needed to be there. And it's just, we have all these great, wonderful people that are choosing to live their lives authentically. And let's not let our people be subject to these attacks. And if they are, let's please retaliate, to be honest with you, because that's where we
Yes.
are now.
That's
So
what we want.
we can no longer turn our cheek. We can no
No.
longer look the other way. You hurt one, you hurt us all. And that's how we have to move forward.
Right. And this is where this hopefully year of the cat coming up. I'm calling it the year of the cat. Couple of things, the reason I call that, I like the song from Al Stewart anyway. It's a 70s song. If you're old like me, you'll remember it. The other thing about it is if you look at the Chinese zodiac, there is no year of the cat. And according to Chinese tradition, the cat got tricked and the cat got messed over, and he didn't get to be one of the 12 zodiac signs that became the Chinese zodiac, the 12 that go around the year. And he blames the rat for it most of the time. So the year of the cat is something very, very rare. That's why the song became so popular and all this stuff. And the times I had my year of the cat in San Antonio with my three titles, things were very different. It was very active, very busy doing work and all that kind of stuff. And the work has never really stopped, even after I stepped down. The big tricky thing is stepping aside. I don't like calling it stepping down. I love calling it stepping aside and letting my Sash son and my Sash daughter run with it and do wonderful things. And they are. I am so proud of Lady Serafina, my daughter, and I'm very proud of my son Cowboy that are really doing a lot of stuff in it. And I'm watching a lot of our younger Leathermen start to get their titles, and they're like Sash nephews to me. And a lot of times down in San Antonio, I'm kind of like the grandfather figure for the Leathermen, or I feel like I am. Uh, it's time for Texas to feel that whole year of the cat thing, where things just get uprooted and changed for the better and positivity. Some of the things I'm going on, especially since you did the intro about what happened to me almost a year to the day, it'll be a year to the day while we're at Austin Kink weekend when I ended up having my first day off, telling me I'm fired basically and I'm on administrative leave. I will be there on that Friday when everybody is starting with their classes and everything. That will literally be a year to the day that it happened. Uh, so one of the things I want to talk about with people is resilience. And again, you talked about that a little bit with the sticking to it and standing your ground and being resilient. The other thing I'm seeking and I'm asking for all the time when I do my morning meditation is wisdom. because leading in San Antonio and seeing what's going on in the other Texas communities and beyond, a lot of times when people chime in and ask my opinion on something, I'm praying I have the wisdom to give them good counsel and advice. So I see that. And so besides resilience and the wisdom that comes through education, and not just, leather education, we're talking about the whole gambit of kink and BDSM, and even beyond that, just basic just basic education on how to do things. Like if we want to be activists, it's lovely to stand outside the Capitol and make a pose and all that kind of stuff. That's wonderful. But you make more effect if you send a registered letter with the appropriate business letter, grammar, and all that kind of stuff. And you make your point clear, but you stay professional about it. But you make your point where if it's an accountable piece of mail, they have to sign for it so you know they got it. And it's not just a postcard that got thrown away. um, then there's proof you've done it. It's also things like I love how Maxine LaQueen actually has testified to defend her rights to do things like that. And it was Maxine that called the elephant in the room last year when everything was going on, because a lot of people, they wanted to say something about it, but nobody really wanted to address it until finally she was stepping aside from her title and she brought it up. And the love of the community that came around me, especially our IML brothers that were at AKW last year, and the goddess Indigo herself literally sat next to me while I lost it, because I was still like in shock and in grieving at it. Here we are a year later. I mean, I went through some very difficult times as well. After I stopped going to school, I stopped even doing anything musical. I didn't even play the piano that was at my house, and I have one here. No music other than maybe listening to the stereo or something like that. Nothing. Um, and it's taken a while to, go through all that, sort through all that, realize, okay, life is now better as a retiree. I'm not getting sick like I used to. My legs and everything have cleared up. My health has been much better. So being retired and having the time now to do stuff for our community is a big thing for me. I can sit down and do correspondence all day long. I can sit there and write classes. I can sit there and answer people's questions, and then just be busy on the weekend where I have to physically make an appearance like a title holder would. So I've got the time and I've got the resources to do all this stuff now. And I'm doing the work at the state level already. And literally, some of the people have said, "Do you really think I should run for this title?" They're like, "Yes, you're already doing the work. You're going around doing demos and teaching classes and doing everything that you can, or sitting down and having one-on-one conversations with people, or even if it's a chat version of it, it's still reaching out to somebody and saying, hey, this is how we can do something better here. This is how we can advocate." So resilience and education are the big ones. And from that becomes advocacy as well. If you know what's going on and you know how to approach these things and know how to get the attention in the right way, then that's how we do it. Because I send a lot of registered letters to the capitals when I think there's a problem and I complain about something, and I get a return receipt back to prove that they got it. And usually they write me back a piece of correspondence to say, okay, but if you don't, if you just send a postcard, you never have a guarantee that they've actually gotten it. If you don't go there and actually testify like Maxine and other people have done, that's where advocacy comes in. There's lots of ways to do that. I mean, we can spread things on social media all day long, and that's great. That's wonderful. But to actually making contact with these people, especially if they have an opposing view or they're trying to pass a bill that's harming people, because there's a lot of things going on in our state that are harming our community. And I sit there and I shake my head and I go, what has happened to our mind? What's gone on here? So this is the year for advocacy. This is the year, especially for education, and to teach people even the basics like consent, uh, how things work. I've had people say, I'd like to go to a dungeon, but I don't know what's going to happen when they're there. And they get this preconceived notion that as soon as you come in, they're going to grab you and tie you up and do stuff. It's like, no, consent. You walk into a building like that and you figure out what you want to do. And so explaining things. That's why I teach the 101 every month at this one place that I go to. And I teach it because there's absolute beginners walking in that have no idea what they're walking into. Their friend brought them to this thing and they're like, what the hell is all this about? So you have to spell out from the very beginning what our terms are, what's this and that. And that's not even specifically leather, that's just the kink and BDSM community. Our straights, our trans, our bis, our non-binaries, our gays, our lesbians, our everybody who's under LGBTQIA plus straight. And so when you reach out and you talk to all these people with the commonalities that we have and the things that we're doing as we're pursuing our identity, that's where the magic comes. That's where it's important to have this. And this is why education and resilience, because once they come for us, one group of us, they're going to come and grab the rest. And that's the problem I have with a lot of stuff too. So that's where my big stance is.
I think
I,
that I'm listening to what you're saying is, like goes for let's talk about advocacy because I do want to show compassion for those that cannot go up and be there presently to fight legislation.
yes,
We have as a community, we have a variety of talents, and there's ways to do everybody's talent. Me, for
right,
instance, right here, I'm doing this show. That's one of many things that I do for
exactly.
advocacy. I also go and I do the leather bar crawls. I'm doing these naked readings. I'm doing what I know to help. And sometimes people
Yes,
criticize, as you know this, Kat. Sometimes people might criticize you for doing you because they expect you to do them. And you
yeah.
can't do somebody if you don't know.
No, no, you can't.
So
You
we,
have your own style of doing things.
and
And
that's okay.
even something like the naked people reading, which I thoroughly enjoyed when you came down to San Antonio for it. And San Antonio loved it when you did it. It was something different. It was something new. And it was something where we learned a little bit about the readers and the fact that literacy is still very important. The naked was just another side of it. Um, it was interesting to see what people chose to read. It was interesting to see where they were coming from it. I did a humorous one, but other people did some serious things. And it was just San Antonio has been very hungry, Lewis, for getting all this leather and all this experience. And we're not the only city. There's a lot of cities in Texas where they're hungry. I mean, when I went down to McAllen and they had their RGV leather down there, it was so pumped up and people enthused that all these people came down to see them and go to their contest. Or when we go to El Paso, or we go to some of the places that are not normally known for a big leather community. Dallas has got a big community. Houston's got a community. Austin's got a community. San Antonio's. And it's like there's other people that are out there that want to have that fellowship. And so, that's why one of the reasons ACLA is fun, because at least at the international level, or even the local level, we have people who are writing in. They don't always make it to a physical event, but they still know that they've got people to talk to and communicate with and all that kind of stuff. There's a hunger for the lifestyles that we live in. Now, you and I are very specifically leather in the very middle of it all, but even the people that don't necessarily wear leather and have maybe some other kind of fetish or something like that, a lot of our straight counterparts, they have a lot of commonality with us and things like that. I'll sit around the campfire smoking a cigar, and none of those straight men are afraid of me because they know I'm going to respect their limits. And we can have conversations about everything and anything under the sun. And it's just sometimes all I want is to have, a coffee or a cigar and talk to my brother or my sister or my sibling, whichever title they prefer. You know, I would love to sit, I love to sit with you guys and just have coffee or something like that and talk. What's going on in your life? This is where our community comes in. Um, Advocacy is many things, and you're absolutely right. But even like when you did,
It can be
yeah,
very simplistic, like this, for instance. Look at my shirt, y'all. It has all the
yeah, yes,
there.
it
That
has all of the pronouns on it.
why is it so difficult just to call somebody what they want to
There
call?
you go.
There you go. So I'm
I've
just
got a rainbow on my tank top, and I've got my other pronoun right here. So, so
I mean, like
yeah,
it's like I'm not. It's nonverbal communication.
exactly.
Still being authentic to who we are by the way we dress, and that's fine. But
That's perfectly fine.
I hope I continue to envision what I believe Austin can be in terms of our leather community. I think we're still figuring our identity out, and I hope we figure it out soon. But we
Yes.
have made the roads here in Austin to be progressive and inclusive, which makes it very difficult. Let me have a real conversation on throwing light in front of everybody with you right now.
Mhm.
I'm pro women. Like my existence, my platform is about uplifting women, mostly first, and getting women to not be secondary. I don't.
Right.
I want women to think of themselves as primary. There are actually more women on
Right.
that. And so uh, I can't start a Leatherman. Do you understand where I'm coming from?
I get fully what you're coming from.
It
I
makes
absolutely.
me a hypocrite because I'm out here saying I want to get rid of gender. So I want to get rid of. I hope to. I live. I want to just wave the magic wand and eliminate gender from all the titles. That's too much. It's too progressive. I know I've heard that. Blah blah. But I'm just saying,
Yeah.
if we're going to be what we want to see, we have to
Right.
start acting like that. Okay, put three women on your judging board instead of one. Make that visible because the thing is that this is how Hollywood and movies have made. They have conditioned us through arts and culture and things like that. And you become accustomed, which is really weird that these social things are happening right now because we have had exposure to them and enough exposure, I would say, in the media. Um, and so many people are being represented. I don't know how you can take that back or bring and take that away from people. Um, but the issue here is that I joked about saying I want to open up a bar, and I learned this from a bar in Barcelona. It was a two-story club. The gay club was on the bottom, and the straight club was on the top. Do you know why they did that? So the straight people would have to walk through the gay people and get used to it and come to the top. So they're used to going through the gay scene and not thinking twice about
Right.
it.
Yeah.
That's business, y'all. That's business. You know what I'm saying? You're trying
Yes.
to get money from two demographics that might not necessarily mingle. So I mean that to me is good business, not we're gonna stop being diverse. That doesn't sell. That doesn't
No.
you can say,
No.
hey, sure, people are going to purchase that. But when you got more product, you got more business. And I just don't think, I think equality is the best business stepping stone, have product. And then here I go. This puts me back in the Austin situation too now. Sir Rat's my sponsors, the Eagle. They support everything I do. Okay. I've gotten pushback from some women about, okay, are they going to make women leather and things like that? There's so much that has to happen for things like that to happen. First, they have to have
Yes.
the business for it. You can't expect businesses to have things if they don't have the requests. So put in the
Right.
requests. Like if you want that, put in enough requests and they would do it. You know what I'm saying like that?
Yeah.
So we confuse running a leather store and being activists. You can't judge people like that. They're doing their best that they can to give us a venue and to give us things for our community, but we have to separate the business and the activism sometimes,
Yes.
because businesses their way of activism is, hey, okay, we're going to throw $5,000 to the Pride Parade in Austin, or we'll put a float out there. That's showing up, and that's their activism. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? But you can't get, you're never going to see, um, like Target's a bad example. You're not going to just see a business all of a sudden come up with this like pro march towards one thing because it's bad business. But I don't know how things are going to work now because I mean you've got bad business people in power now, so I don't even understand how we got here.
No.
Um, well, I do. You know what? Hatred and stupidity, and
Yes. That's what it's
and
based
and
off of.
having someone declare that English is the national language of a country where people can't smell Mississippi.
Yeah. And this is the thing. They want to claim it's the national language, but most people don't understand basic grammar and composition anyway.
No,
So and I'm an educator.
This is the country of broken English. If you want to make that the national language, then you can do that. But we don't speak English well.
No, we don't, and we don't write it either. Uh, it's it's amazing to watch that now. A lot of my friends had to be careful a lot to write. Says I'm always nervous when I write you, Cat, because I think you're correcting my grammar, and it's like, well, I was a teacher
I'm
for
an
years.
English major and I'm horrible at all that stuff. I went on the creative side. So it's just like, I get it. Like, English grammar is not fun, but to go
No,
there, like, to be so disconnected with the education system and the performance of all the states just shows right then and there the inability to lead a country. Like, this is
right?
called showmanship. I watched Celebrity Apprentice, okay? I know what this is. I watched it. Okay, this is
Yeah,
what we got. We got Celebrity Apprentice, the
yeah.
president. It's all like theatrics and planned things and stuff like that, and people just don't see through that. But we can sit here and rant about all these things, but again, like, I think this is the time where we got to be multifaceted with our activism,
Yes, absolutely.
like,
There are
because
many ways to be an activist. There
and
are
I don't
many,
want
like,
to, and I
yeah,
don't want to, like, I want people to go to the front lines, but I do want to encourage safety first with anything that you're doing, and
yeah,
especially my Texas family. We're dealing with people and open carry and all that type of stuff. It's a danger, y'all. We have to still be aware of our surroundings, and I know it's easy for us to throw on our leather. Some of us are, well, it makes us feel good and take off into the streets, but we do got to start thinking about, looking behind us, and because we don't
yeah.
know.
I
Um,
had a I had a scary comment I read in one of the chats about some people getting ready to go do one of the a protest or at least a march of some sort, and one of the people says I'm gonna wear black and not be distinguishable because they wanted to wear the trans rights stuff, but it's like, but I have to take public transportation, and I don't know how that will go over on a place like that. And so a lot of us will say, yeah, that's probably the wise thing to do.
I mean, you have to.
Yeah,
We have to. I mean, God has said it
yeah,
best when she was on here, and I'm bringing the before I'm reading the first thing. We're under attack. There's a plan
yes.
in effect.
And this is the thing. This is where our resilience and our advocacy and mostly our education, my big platforms about it, need to be there. How to mobilize, how to find ideas. Because as you said, there are so many ways to be an activist, from a podcast like this to writing letters like I like to do, or going and testifying like Maxine did, or even making your presence known outside the Capitol. It is different things, but getting the attention of the right people is very paramount to it all. Uh, it's
Something
it's going to be a never-ending battle, Lewis. It really will be. Not until things,
but in our lifetime, wouldn't it be nice to see progress? That's all I'm saying. I ain't
yeah,
expecting us to see the Holy Land in our lifetime.
no, we're not ever going to be that. Yeah,
But I'll tell you this: my idea of how to fight this is changing.
yeah,
And the thing that angers me the most and gets my gut going, and I've now mentioned this probably every episode this season, this year, on throwing like the LGBT without the T group. I
exactly.
think I want to pivot and start fighting them. And my reasoning is it's a little bit mixture of spectacle and
Mhm.
a mixture of, if I can convince anyone, it should be my own people. There
Right.
has to be a switch, something to flick in their head to wake up. We can't do that with our, how can I, because I don't even think heterosexuality is a real thing. So I don't know what to call these people, these fake Christian people or fake whatever, fake lovers. They don't love people, obviously, fake pro-life people, all of that, everything. All of these
Yeah.
people that say that they stand for something good, but they don't do anything to like
Well,
we
the rhetoric sounds so loving and so good, but the practice is absolutely shitty.
we
It
can't
really is.
win. We cannot. Like I just posted on my Facebook. I don't. I am not going to be a pawn of the criminals.
Right.
I implore everyone to be the queen piece on the chessboard. Go wherever you want to go
as far
and
as you need
do
to go.
whatever you want to go. Take one step, take six steps. But you have that power. That should be in nature. You need to look at
In
gender
all
a little
directions.
bit more because
Right.
women, females in the animal kingdom carry a lot of power. And you got these, I'm going on
Yeah.
with mediocre white men that are afraid of, I don't know. I don't know what this is, Kat. Where does it come from when people are like, hey, our mission is to spread whiteness? Like, where does that come from?
I, for the life of me, have no idea. I
And
know going back to your bit about the trans, where I do a lot of my community work and teaching is kind of a safe space for our trans and our non-binaries and a lot of people that fall either under the T or the Q or the A or even the I. Uh, and, we talk about LGB without the T, which frustrates me too, because I sit around that fire and I talk to these people that are now my dear friends. And how in the world could I ever say you don't belong, you don't have a place in our community? No, you most certainly do. And I'm thinking of people right now in my head that I'm seeing around that bonfire as we talk and as we're chatting, of all walks of life. All of the letters are around that thing because it's a safe space for everybody. And it's like the biggest lament we have is, why is it we can function here in our safe space, but because this is our safe space, this is the only place we can function. Because when we go back out there, we have to put our guard on. We have to put our black clothing back on to hide our true colors, to hide our pronouns and things like that. And it's very frustrating for me when I hear that, because some of these people are some of my dearest friends that we share heart to heart things with. And I would never be able to look them in the eye and say, you don't have value, you don't have worth. You may be a they, them, or you may be a pronoun that you don't appear to be. I don't care. What I see is your soul. What I see is your heart. The rest of it is just a difference. And maybe that's part of just my nature. Bring the white witch part of it in here. It's just, I care about the heart and the soul, first of all, before I worry about the appearance or what's in the jockstrap,
and
you
that's
know?
that's what attracts me to you though,
Yeah.
because of the things that you're saying, because that's how I feel about what I'm trying to emulate. But
Right.
but you're you are hitting on everything that makes a good person or a person that's trying to be a good person. And
Precisely. It is really, when it comes down to it, all of these things with all of its diversions and things, it comes down to intent when you really get down to it, and you can boil it down to what the intents are and the person, the quality of the person. At a certain point, it doesn't matter. How do I say this the right way? It matters what's inside you, because that's what's going to last longer than even this physical container. I mean, the morbid side of it is one day Stuart is going to have to decide where my shadow boxes and everything go
or
and all
about
that stuff, and I'm going to be a memory.
I,
Okay, but
wait, let me stop you for a second. You're going to
yeah,
be a memory? No, baby, no, sweetheart. We're going to be legacies. This is what we're here
but
for.
that's what I mean.
Yeah.
What did I do? So I've taught a lesson. You stop it. My husband's interjecting things over here. He's causing trouble. Okay, so yes, dear. There, I said it already.
Hey, okay. Well, we got two. Okay, Kat, we're running on time, so there's two things we need to accomplish. Okay,
Yes,
first of all, I forgot what it's like. What are the two most important words that you tell a loved one?
I just said it to him. That for anybody that has a relationship, no matter what configuration, orientation, identification it is, when you have significant others of some sort, the best thing you can say to them, everybody write this down, get your pencils out. Yes, dear.
That's it. That's the secret to life, y'all.
That is the secret to any relationship. Respect and yes, dear. It will always happen. And by the way, the word dear, when I call somebody my dear, and I don't care what your gender is when I say that, people have heard me say it all the time, hello, my dear, or something like that. The word dear is actually a financial term. When something is more dear than the other, or you pay dearly for something, it means it's of value or of worth. So something that is more dear than something else is more expensive or more valuable. So when I say my dear, I am saying I value you and I think you have worth and all that stuff, which is why we were always taught to write a letter saying dear and insert the name. That was a salutation from writing a letter. It meant that I had value to take the time to write to you and all that kind of stuff. Or when I call somebody my dear, a lot of people said, "Is this because you're a witch? You do that?" Like, get you my pretty idiot little dog too. No, I'm not. First of all, I'm a good witch, not a bad witch. But a lot of it is a lot of it is when I say that. And the other thing about dear, besides it being a financial term that means I find valuable, it is gender non-specific. So no matter what your identification is, you are still dear to me, whether you are a he, him, she, her, they, them, it, whatever you use as a thing, dear still applies. Because at that point, when I'm giving somebody a hug or I'm saying, "What's going on with you, my dear?" Boom. It means I've got your focus on you. My focus is on you, and I'm watching this. So when I say yes, dear, to my husband, that's also acknowledging my value to him, and of course agreeing with him. Because if I disagree, I'm in trouble. So, so
So that what, and I love math, by the way. So I'd like to think that deer has a certain monetary value.
it does.
All
When
right.
something
So
is
what's
dear, it's
most
expensive.
important, Cat? The most important thing we've got to talk about, everybody. My IML brother here, Master Cat Artemis. My IML 46 brother is running for your Mr. Texas Leather 2025, and
We finally get to talk about that.
I am here when you're going to end the show talking about that. So I
Yeah.
not only have loved this interview because it's really just two friends who are catching up, but I'm glad to be bringing Kat back. Austin Keek Weekend is coming up, y'all. I'm actually have
Easter
episode
weekend.
Jacob
Yes.
Duncan, the producer of Austin Keek Weekend. I will be doing an episode with him on April 2nd coming up to talk about Austin
Yes.
Keek Weekend.
And Jacob is awesome because Jacob is
Also,
awesome.
Jacob is all phenomenal.
Oh
If
yeah.
you don't know, that Austin Keek Weekend contains the Texas Leather Contest. So there's going to be your Mr. Texas, Miss Texas, and your Texas Boot Black, and your pup handler.
Mm-hmm.
I've competed with it. It is a fun competition. It's going to be good. It's a great time to. There are tons of classes, but we'll get into that. But Cat's running for Mr. Texas. I want to give him all my love and support. I will love throwing light. I want you to know that throwing light is behind you.
Thank you.
I'm glad to have you that. But let me leave you with this last question. What is
Yes.
something that you really want to do as Mr. Texas Leather 2020?
Well, I guess the big thing there is I've watched what my predecessors have done, uh, and I want to expand on that. For example, Beacon was very much about advocacy and things. Ty has been a lot about education with the Kinky Book Club. Even before them, Cam and Caprice and the ones before that had different platforms. I really want to take that education platform, especially to, find things that people need, like advocating for, getting the lawyer who's actually running against me for the kink in the law and trying to get some of that stuff down, or technique things like impact play or electro play, because there's a lot of things that go wrong. Doing demos so people can see how it's done correctly for things like, say, flogging, or even the basics of BDSM, starting a relationship, learning how to negotiate your scene, or learning how to work your way through a particular night if you're going to a leather dungeon or something like that, or protocols in our history. But the biggest thing is also the advocacy. Where are ways we can do this? And we brainstormed a little bit about this during the class. So education would be the big one, and also the story of resilience, because you have to be able to bounce back even after something horrible that happened to me last year. So it's kind of like when I go to Austin Kink Weekend this year, it's gonna be like, I'm back, bitches. So
No,
it's like,
dude, can I be honest with you? It's like we went and did a reality show, and you're coming back and doing an all star season right
yeah,
after the season you finished.
pretty much.
Like, I'm
I
like,
love it.
oh, you're going
And
back.
I had
You're
somebody.
going, but no, you're going back as a two-time champ, though.
Well, I've actually got. I have two
You have two
leather
titles.
titles.
On.
I
Yeah,
have two leather titles,
yeah.
and I actually have a drag title. So, and then I also went to IML and just missed the top 20. So it was like, so, but, and somebody asked me, are you just doing this title to go to IML again? It's like, I have my medal already. I am part of the International Brotherhood already. Thursday, when we got our medals, that was when we all won. And you're wearing yours right now. It's just that mine is hanging on my mannequin right now because I'm not in leather. But that was the win right there because the big prize for me was to meet 60 brothers and to realize that there's 2,200 of us over all the years that bear the medallion. Okay, that was the win. If I go to IML, it's of course to represent Texas at that point and to carry that mantle on there. I've already become an international brother. I've already gotten that. If there's a checkbox, which I don't believe there is, then I've checked that off. I've checked off Mr. Alamo City Leather. I checked off Mr. Sister Leather from back in 2017 when the title existed. I even did a drag title. So 3 titles, and also I got covered, and that was a complete surprise. So it's like people are saying, well, why do you want to do Texas Leather? It's like, because it's the next progression. I'm doing the work in the state. I have a love for this state. I want to see it bounce and be resilient. I want to see those young leathermen that are curious about it to see I guess for lack of a better term, grandfather figure, take them by the side and say, this is how our life is, and this is what's going on. Here are the battles you need to fight. Here's the ways you can arm yourself and protect yourself, and yada yada yada. And there's so many things to talk about with education, even things like safe sex practices and better ways to be intimate that BDSM will allow you to do, or even just having a brother that you talk about over coffee. That can be incredibly intimate without being physical. And there's so many ways and things that people need to sit and ponder. I've written lots of dissertations on FetLife, which is basically where Kinksters are at a lot of times. There's a lot there for people to digest, and there's a lot of messages to put out there. There's a lot of that to talk about in a platform. But the big thing for me is that education, getting people, because education is power, knowledge is power, and to have that, to have, and it's coming from an old retired educator. The more you know, the better off you're going to be. And especially if you understand little tips and techniques, like it doesn't mean march around the Capitol all the time and physically. And that's good to have that presence. But if you really want to reach them, send that accountable letter, certified mail with the return receipt, or better yet, registered letter. If you really believe in what you're saying, you spend the $11 to get a registered letter so you can account for everybody who touched that letter up until the point it got to the person you were sending it to. Then you know that it got there, and you know they're going to respond to it because it's a registered letter, and they know they can't hide the fact that they got it. So there's just those little things, little tips and tricks, going and testifying and all it, maybe teaching people, this is what you need to say. This is the point you need to make. You need to, how you keep your communication professional, but to the point, to get these people in the legislature to listen to you and not get turned off because you're already, using obscene language, or you're, showing you're not prepared to talk to them. It's getting everybody trained on how to do stuff. Otherwise, yeah, we can't just let fate take over all the time now. We have to create that destiny. We have to advocate for ourselves and our rights to have all this stuff. So people are not afraid to say that they are a they, them, or some other pronoun that people will look and say, that doesn't look like your assigned gender at the time. I'm comfortable being a he, him, sir, and all that stuff. But I know a lot of our brothers and sisters or siblings that have other identity. I go to a dungeon every week and meet these people and see people of all walks of life, and to hear their stories or to hear what they want and hear that kind of thing is like, this isn't just about gay leathermen getting a title. This is, Austin Kink Weekend isn't even technically a leather weekend. It's a BDSM kink weekend where people who aren't even wearing leather are coming to this thing because they're enjoying the activities and the subjects we're going to be talking about. It's a much bigger thing when you combine the LGBTQIA along with the pansexual and straight communities, and we all come together at these things. It's a much bigger mantle to carry. And there's a lot to talk about. there's a lot to learn from each other, from simple things like technique or tradition to advocacy and how to stay safe in certain things. You could write a curriculum that could go on and on and on for this whole thing. You really could. I mean, I've already got 15 courses written and I've got 2 book studies written. So it's, I'm going to keep going. There's no option to stop. There really isn't. So
There's not an option to stop, and I want
there's not an option to stop.
I want you to keep going. I think you're a phenomenal human being. You have a lot to offer, and I think education is so important. And they're trying to take that away. So if we can get somebody back in there that wants to keep education at the core, we need it bad. Texas needs it.
Yes.
I am. I'm just
I
praying.
love you.
No matter
I
what.
love you.
I don't. I don't. It, to me, you're always going to be a leader, and you can do all these things, and you will do all these things. I believe in you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, y'all, that brings us to the end of Throwing Lights. Before I wait, okay, so yeah, so there's been just a slight format change since the last time you've been on here. Now I'll let the guest close this show. So when I count to 3, Cat, you're going to say, if you're not throwing light, you're not acting right.
That's very true, actually.
Ready?
Okay. Okay, do the
That's
count so
why
I can say it.
it's resonating with the viewers. It's taking off.
Yes.
We're
And
about
yeah, I mean, it
100
makes sense.
episodes. We're hitting 100 episodes. I got a special surprise for that too. So, anyways,
Oh
all
boy.
right. So I'm gonna count to 3, and you're gonna say if you're not throwing light, you're not acting right. You ready?
No,
1,
of course I am.
2, 3.
If you're not throwing right, you're not acting right.
There we go.
Okay.
Thank you so much
Or,
for this interview for me. I would love to have you back in the future. I'm excited to
sure.
see you this weekend potentially. I will see you at Kink Weekend. I will see you at
Yes.
IML. So we know we're going to be
Yes.
seeing each other at least 3 times. I
Yes.
will continue getting our little reunion organized. But being that, I guess that comes to the end, y'all. All right,
Yes.
y'all. That's been another Throwing Light. I am Master Cat here. That's it. See y'all. Whoa. I can't really tell you where I'm going to see y'all because we got a lot of episodes coming. See y'all soon.
Yes. Bye-bye.